Good morning. This is August the 17th, 2016. It is Wednesday and it is 9:44 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I am driving over to the slab to see if the Llano River has risen, and we're fixing to find out. And guess what? It hasn't. The Llano River has not come up hardly at all. It's not even across the bridge. Well, I thought we had a lot of rain. But anyway, it's about 78 degrees, which is definitely cooler for this time of the year in Central Texas, USA. I hope y'all are doing all right. I'm doing fine. Another big day today. I got to go get a few groceries. I'm telling you, stress I live under. But what I have done is I've been looking at my options on traveling, RVing and Prius camping. And in order to do it with the Prius camping, I can do that no problem. But RVing, if I really want to pull my RV, which I don't, it's too big. If I really wanted to pull it though, I'd have to get a nice big truck, which I really don't want to do. Option 2 is to get a smaller RV, like a small Class C. It's one option. But to get a small Class C that can be covered by an extended warranty, Class C has to be less than, I think, 9 model years old. Well, to get a decent 9-year-old Class C motorhome will cost you about $30,000, because I've checked, at least for me. So I'm really not all excited about that. I don't want to go. I'm tired of debt. I'm debt free. I want to stay that way. So another option I looked at was getting a casita or a scamp or whatever they call it, and getting a small SUV with a 4,000-pound towing capacity and pull one of those and go traveling. Well, that presents just as much of a monetary problem as buying the Class C motorhome. So, with that in mind, I have stayed in Taos, New Mexico a couple of times by the month in a condominium, a studio apartment, just a little efficiency like that. And they're pretty reasonable. You can get them anywhere from $800 a month up, fully furnished with Wi-Fi and TV and all that stuff. And they come with all the linens, everything you need. And most of them have either a washer and dryer in the apartment, or there's a coin-operated unit available nearby. So I'm age 71, and I just want a place to go really to get out of the Texas heat easily. And so I'm probably going to go back to renting a place by the month, either in the Taos area or Santa Fe. Santa Fe, I looked there several times. Santa Fe is a little bit pricey. For the best deal I could find on a one-bedroom in Taos excuse me, cut in Santa Fe was $12.50 a month for a studio or deficiency, and it was just I mean, it was a ghetto spot. I mean, it wasn't very. I don't think I'd have felt very safe there. So, having said all that, I'm making the decision soon, because if you're going to get a place for next summer, you got to pretty well do it now. So I'm working on it. And what else is going on? Been getting a lot of comments about a variety of things, and that's always good. As far as taking a Prius camping trip, I'm not sure if I'm going to go or not for a while, because if I'm going to rent a place in Taos about a month, then I need to do some tasting events to come up with the CASH to pay for it, and I don't mind doing that. You know, I don't mind working, because it ain't really work, it's fun actually. Oh, there was a gentleman that made a comment about that it appeared that in parts, maybe it appears that, at least it appeared to him, that people are losing what's called a work ethic, and I agree with that. I see that. Of course, you know, my grandson, of course, he just graduated from high school, but he was working at a Sonic, a little fast food place, 2 years before he graduated from high school, and immediately upon graduation, he took another job. So he's okay. He understands that. Of course, that was his mother and father primarily that turned him in that direction, because, you know, they made a budget showing him what the expenses were to run the household and what his share of the expenses were, and you know, he realized that, hey, that's right. So anyway, he kind of went to work and did it. But I see a lot of things that make me believe that maybe that's kind of slipping away, that we're moving more and more and more towards a welfare, you know, it's my right, it's my rights, it's my right to have welfare, it's my right. I was born into it, so therefore I'm supposed to get it. Well, you know, and then the other side of that argument is, if there are no jobs that pay enough money for them to live better working than on welfare, that's another argument. So, you know, you look at it from both sides, and, you know, that's always hard to do. It's called looking at things from a different perspective, and that's hard to do. It is. Most people have an opinion, and they dig in, and through the years, I've tried to develop a mindset that allows me to hear the other side, listen to their point of view, and then either subscribe to their argument or blend their argument with mine to come up with a little better solution. But I see where we're headed with jobs. I mean, you know, both parties are talking about creating jobs. There's a twofold problem we've got. You know, immigration into the wealthier nations from the poorer nations is going to continue. It is. And I don't care what kind of walls you build or rules you make, water is going to flow to the point of least resistance, and poor people in poor countries have nothing to lose. So they're coming. So that's one problem. So we're going to have more of a unskilled workforce than we've currently got. The next problem we've got is the jobs that are being created by corporations now don't use a lot of unskilled labor. most of the unskilled positions have been automated. I mean, even at Walmart, they've got the automatic checkouts now where you check yourself out basically, and other stores do the same, and more retailers are going to automation as a way to reduce labor, because labor cost is their biggest cost. And as that happens, all the unskilled labor force will decline at the same time as immigration and population growth in the U.S. is increasing an unskilled labor force. So you see the collision that we're faced with, and I don't care what the talking heads say, the political talking heads or the media talking heads or whoever, a little common sense will tell you that if you keep adding people to an economy who cannot find jobs, I don't care what country it is in the world, whether it's in Europe, Asia, United States, or where it is, you're building an explosive situation. The old adage that full bellies do not revolt is true. People that have a full belly, in other words, have food on the table, have housing, they're not going to revolt. It ain't going to happen. The people that will revolt and hurt people are the ones that have nothing to lose. They're hungry, they're unemployed, they're uneducated, and you put those three right there primarily define one culture largely in this United States. Uneducated, unemployed, and I can't remember the third one. I think I'm going to run for governor of Texas. I just said that. Anyway, but, I drive around thinking and sit around thinking, and I don't watch a lot of TV, or hardly any actually. I read books. I read a variety of books, but in reading about the immigration problem worldwide, the immigrants are coming from the poorest nations. I mean, they're not just coming from Mexico into the U.S., they're coming from Guatemala, Colombia, Venezuela, Bolivia. That's just in South America. And they come into Mexico. Well, what happens there is they're willing to work for less than the Mexicans work for. So that puts the Mexicans out of work. So then the Mexicans, what are we going to do? So they come across our borders and take other low-skilled jobs for a lower wage than the people that are doing it now. And that puts them out of work. And that's not just Mexicans. There's poor white folks in there, poor blacks, poor Asians. Everybody is affected by that immigration. How could you solve that problem? Well, you have to stop the demand for the product. The product is a good life, and the demand is by those people who don't have it. How do you do that? Well, the answer is pretty simple. You can't create jobs, but you can create jobs by doing public works programs and that sort of thing, and we probably ought to do some of that, but not only in the U.S., worldwide, to give these people opportunities. And then the elites, not individually elites, corporate elites, corporations that are cash cows that are raking in the money and paying big dividends to their shareholders and big salaries to themselves, are going to have to realize that if they continue that, they're on a collision course with a revolution by millions of people that can kick down those gates and come into their gated communities and kill them and take all their shit. Has it happened before? That's the history of mankind right there. That's the way we do. the elites, the old landlords did it, and then there was a big revolution in France. I mean, they butchered the aristocracy by the thousands, okay? And it happened in China, where they just kicked in the doors, all the wealthy people, they killed them, and took all their stuff. Could that happen here? Sure. We're not immune. We found that out. We're not immune to a lot of things. But anyway, isn't this an interesting day? Folks, you should never leave me alone too long. But anyway, this is Central Texas, USA. I'm cruising along here at 52 miles an hour and just thinking out loud, basically. Does anybody care? Sure, people care. But how do you do anything? How do you change that? I think, let me say this. I've been on boards of directors, and I have to say this, that I remember this. I remember hearing customers and people, employees complain, bitch, moan, da, da, da. And my standard response was, you just don't have all the information. If you had all the information, you would make the same choices that we're making. And by and large, that was true. Because my job was to see that the corporation maintained not only profits doesn't mean a whole lot. What means a whole lot is positive cash flow. If a corporation does not have positive cash flow, then they got a problem. They're not going to be around long. All right? So to maintain positive cash flow, you've got X amount coming in the front door and Y amount going out the back door and Z amount going into the checking account. Hopefully that's positive. And it's income and expenses, man. And in government, of course, money has no value. We've known that for years. As far as the monetary supply, there's indexes. There's M1 and M2. You can check those out, figure out what those mean. But basically, it's the money supply in the United States. And since we just print money, it's just paper. It has no backing by gold, silver, or anything. It's totally valueless. And what happens, though, if you have too much in circulation, then you get into a situation of what's called inflation. And that means that the price of things just escalates, and you have to carry a sack full of dollars to go get a loaf of bread. So it's not as easy as it sounds for those that have the information to make decisions that balance the equation, because it takes a while to see what these effects are going to be. Sometimes they guess wrong. For example, the Federal Reserve raising or lowering interest rates can create an economic train wreck. And we've seen that in our system happen a few times. So anyway, I guess overall what I'm saying is that sometimes things are a little bit more complicated than they look. Then you turn that coin over, and the solution really is not all that difficult. Could we raise minimum wage to $15 or $20 an hour without causing a train wreck? If we just did it in the U.S., it would cause an economic train wreck. The reason is every corporation would move out overnight. They don't owe their allegiance to the U.S. at all. They don't owe their allegiance to our markets anymore. They've got the Chinese markets, the India markets, other Asian markets. So we'd be in trouble. But there are things we could do, but we need to have people talking about those things. I'd rather hear those kind of issues discussed than any others. So having said all that, it's this thing's kind of run on and on and on, and nobody's gonna watch some bitch anyway. But y'all have a good day. I wished I could think of a good joke, but I'm jokeless today. But thumbs up, carpe diem. Have a great day. Think positive thoughts. You know, the thoughts that I just gave you, I hope you don't take those to be negative, because they're not. It's just information, that's all. It's just me rambling on. It's just information. Anyway, thumbs up, carpe diem, adios, bye-bye.